Krishna, everyone. So, we will resume our daily study of Srimad Bhagavatam, beginning with chanting the prayers. Om Jnanatimirandasya Gananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manovishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupakadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shritapadakamlam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Savajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sanjeevam Sadavaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Panamami Hari Priya Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhuve Vacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namam Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namne Namaste Saraswate Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatadeshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Okay. So, this is very important that we study Srimad Bhagavatam every day. So, that's why we are doing these, um, recording this. At least we can listen. So, yesterday we completed the 42nd verse of 2nd chapter, Canto 10, 10th Canto, 14th chapter, 42nd verse we did yesterday. Today we will go to the next one. 43rd verse एकस्मिन् अपि याते अब्धे प्राणेशं चान्तरात्मनः कृष्णमाया हता राजन् क्षणार्धं मेनिरेरभका एकस्मिन् word to word meaning ekashmin one api although yate having passed abde year prana isham the lord of their lives cha and antare without atmana of themselves Krishna of Lord Krishna Maya by the illusory potency ahata covered Rajan O king shana ardham half a moment min menire they thought arbhaka the boys translation there's no purport here so translation by the humble servants of Srila Prabhupada. Translation O king, although the boys had passed an entire year apart from the Lord of their very lives, they had been covered by Lord Krishna's illusory potency and thus considered that year merely half a moment. So though it was 1 year, they were actually in that illusory energy of the Lord. 1 year had passed, but for them it seemed to be like half a moment. Next verse Kim Kim na Vishmaranti ha Maya Mohita Chetasa Yan Mohitam Jagat Sarvam Abhikshnam Vishmritatmakam Kim Kim what indeed Na Vismaranti persons do not forget Iha in this world Maya Mohita bewildered by illusion Chetasa whose minds yet by which Mohitam bewildered Jagat the world Sarvam entire Abhikshnam constantly Vishmrita Atmakam making one forget even one's own self. Translation what indeed is not forgettable, for what indeed is not forgotten by those whose minds are bewildered by the Lord's illusory potency. By that power of Maya, this entire universe remains in perpetual bewilderment, and in this atmosphere of forgetfulness, no one can understand his own identity. So, this is actually the situation in this material world that one is forgetful of their real identity in this material under the clutches of the modes, under this illusory energy Maya, and um, that shows how powerful Maya is. Purport: it is clearly stated here that the entire universe is bewildered. Thus, even great demigods like Indra and Brahma are not exempt from the principle of forgetfulness. Since Lord Krishna exercised his internal illusory potency over his cowherd boyfriends and calves, it is not at all astonishing that for 1 year they could not remember their position. Indeed, by the Lord's external illusory potency, the conditioned souls forget their existence not only for 1 year but for many billions and billions of years as they transmigrate throughout the kingdom of ignorance called the material world. So, this is the the position of the conditioned souls. Next verse. Uchuscha suhrudah krishnam swa agatam te ti ramhasa naikopi abhi abhoji kavala ehita sadhu bhujyatam. Uchu, they spoke Cha and Suhruda, the friends Krishnam to Lord Krishna. Suagatam have come all the way back. They, you, Ati Ramhasa, very quickly, not Eka, one, Api, even Obhoja has been eaten. Kavala, morsel, Ehi, please come, Ita, here, Sadhu properly, Bhujatam, take your meal. Translation: the cowherd boyfriend said to Lord Krishna, "You have returned so quickly. We have not eaten even one morsel in your absence. Please come here and take your meal without distraction." Purport: the words Swagatam ete ramhasa indicate that the cowherd boys were congratulating Lord Krishna for having brought the calves back so quickly from the forest. Now, Lord Krishna's beloved friends urged him to sit down properly and eat to his full satisfaction. According to Srila Prabhupada's Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the cowherd boyfriends felt quite jubilant and were eager to eat with their dear friend Krishna. If you have not read Krishna book, then you must read that. The beautiful pastimes of the Lord Prabhupada has narrated in the Krishna book. Then 46th verse, Tato Hasan Rishikeshu Vyavahrita Sahar Bhakai Darshayam Sharma Jagaram Nyavar Tata Vanat Vrijam Tata. Then Hasan, smiling, Rishikesha, Lord Krishna, the master of everyone's senses, Abhya Abhyavahritya, taking lunch, Saha along with Arbhakai, the cowherd boys, Darshayan, showing Charma, the skin, Ajagaram, of the python Aghasura, Nyavartata, he returned Vanat from the forest, Vrajam, to the village of Vraja. Translation: then Lord Rishikesha, smiling, finished his lunch in the company of his cowherd friends. While they were returning from the forest to their homes in Vraja, Lord Krishna showed the cowherd boys the skin of the dead serpent Aghasura. So, as you know, this pastime of Brahma Vimol Lila happened just after the killing of Aghasura. So, Krishna is showing them the dead body or the skin of the dead serpent Aghasura. Barha prasuna vana dhatu vichitri tangaha prodama venudala shringa ravotsavadya vatsan gnan anuga gita pavitra kirti gopi drig utsavaha drishi pravivesha goshtham. Barha with peacock feathers, prasun of flowers, vanadhatu, and forest minerals, vichitrita, decorated Anga, his transcendental body. Prodama, great, Venudala, made from the branch of a bamboo tree, Shringa of the flute, Rava by the resounding, Utsava with a festival, Adhya, resplendent, Vatsan, the calves, Ganan, calling, Anuga by his companions, Gita sung, Pavitra purifying, Kirti, his glories, Gopi of the cowherd woman, Drik for the eyes, Utsava a festival, Drishi, the vision of him, Pravivesha. He entered Gostam, the cow pasture. Translation: Lord Krishna's transcendental body was decorated with peacock feathers and flowers and painted with forest minerals, and his bamboo flute loudly and festively resounded. As he called out to his calves by name, his cowherd boyfriends purified the whole world by chanting his glories. Thus Lord Krishna entered the cow pasture of his father Nanda Maharaj, and the sight of his beauty at once produced a great festival for the eyes of all the cowherd women. Purport: According to Srila Jiva Goswami and Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, the gopis mentioned here are the elder cowherd ladies such as Mother Yashoda, who loved Krishna with parental affection. Krishna's cowherd boyfriends were so proud of Krishna's wonderful activities that while entering the village, they all sang his glories. Then 48th verse. Adya, there's nothing much to explain, so I'm just reading. If any doubt or anything to be discussed, then you may interrupt me. Adyanena Mahavyalo Vyashodananda Sunana Hato Vita Vayam Chasmad Iti Bala Vraje Jagu. Adya, today, Anena, by him, Mahavyala, a great serpent, Yashoda of Yashoda, Nanda and Nanda Maharaj Nanda, Sunana, by the sun, Hataha, has been killed, Avita, have been saved, Vayam, we, Cha, and Asmat from that demon, Iti, thus Bala, the boys, Vraje in Vrindavan, Jagu sang. Translation: As the cowherd boys reached the village of Vraja, they sang, Today Krishna saved us by killing a great serpent. Some of the boys described Krishna as son of Yashoda and others as the son of Nanda Maharaj. Purport: Actually, Lord Krishna had killed the demon Aghasura 1 year earlier, but the boys, bewildered by the mystic potency of Brahma for 1 year, did not notice the time passing and thus thought that on that very day, Lord Krishna had killed the demon Aghasura and was now returning home with them. 49th verse. Shri Rajovacha Brahman Pradodbhave Krishne Yan Prema Katham Bhavet Yo Bhuta Purvas Dokeshu Swadbhaveshu Api Kathyatam. Shri Raja Uvacha. The king said, Brahman, O Brahmana, Sukadev, Paraudbhave, for the offspring of another, Krishna, Lord Krishna, Iyan, so much prema, love, katham, how, bhavet can be, ya, which abhuta purvai, unprecedented, tokeshu, for the children, swa udbhaveshu, their own offspring, api, even, kathyatam. Please explain. Translation: King Parikshit said, O Brahmana, how could the cowherd woman have developed for Krishna, someone else's son, such unprecedented pure love they never felt even for their own children? Please explain this. Parikshit Maharaj is asking question to Sukadev Goswami that how the other cowherd women they had so much love for Krishna, which is even more than they had for their own children. So now Sukadev Goswami will be explaining. Shishuka Vacha Varshesam api bhutanam nripa swatmaiva vallabha itare apatya vitadyas tadvallabha hi. Shishuka Vacha, Shishukadev Goswami said, Sarvesham, for all, Api, indeed, Bhutanam, created living beings, Nripa, O king, Swa Atma, one's own self, Eva certainly, Vallabha, dearmost, Itare, others, Apatya, children, Vita, wealth, Adya, and so on, Tat of that self, Vallabhataya, based on the dearness, Eva he, indeed. Translation: Sri Shukadev Goswami said, O king, for every created being, the dearmost thing is certainly his own self. The dearness of everything else, children, wealth, and so on, is due only to the dearness of the self. So, The one most dear to oneself is one's own self. If there is uh, some problem, we try to save ourselves first and then come to save others. So, but sometimes modern thinkers become puzzled when they study the psychology of moral behavior. Although every living entity is inclined towards self preservation, as stated here, sometimes a person voluntarily sacrifices his own apparent interest through philanthropic or patriotic activities such as giving his money for the benefit of others or giving his life for the national interest. Such so called selfless behavior appears to contradict the principle of material self centeredness and self preservation. As explained in this verse, however, a living entity serves his society, nation, family, and so on only because these objects of affection represent the expanded concept of false ego. A patriot sees himself as a great servitor of a great nation and thus he sacrifices his life to gratify his sense of egotism. Similarly, it is common knowledge that a man feels great pleasure by thinking that he is sacrificing everything to please his dear wife and children. A man derives great egotistic pleasure by seeing himself as a selfless well wisher of his so called family and community. Thus, to gratify his proud sense of false ego, a man is prepared even to lay down his life. This apparently contradictory behavior is yet another demonstration of the bewilderment of material life, which has neither rhyme nor reason, being a manifestation of gross ignorance of the non material soul. So, even if one may be seem to be sacrificing the personal interest for the nation, for family, and so on, this is nothing but extended sense gratification. So because of identifying oneself, oh, this is my nation, this is my nation. That's why one is able to sacrifice one's personal things for one's own gratification. Because I'm thinking this is my family, my. So again, it is self-centered. It is like extended way. It is still, but it is still self-centered. 51 verse Tad Rajendra Yathashneha Swag Swakatmani Dehinam Tatat Na Tatha Mamata Lambi Putra Vitagriha Dishu. Cut therefore Rajendra, O best of kings, Yatha, as Sneha, the affection, so Swaka, of each individual, Atmani, for the self, Dehinam, of the embodied beings, Na, not Tatha, thus Mamata Alambi, for that which one identifies as his own possession, for that which one identifies with as his possessions, putra, sons, vita, wealth, graha, homes, adishu, and so on. Translation: for this reason, O best of kings, the embodied soul is self-centered. He is more attached to his own body and self than to his so-called possessions like children, wealth, and home. Purport: it is now common practice all over the world for a mother to kill his own child within the womb if the birth of that child represents any inconvenience for her. Similarly, grown children eagerly place their elderly parents in lonely institutions rather than be inconvenienced by their presence at home. These and innumerable other examples prove that people in general are more attached to their own body and self, which represent I-ness, than to their family and their possessions, which represent my-ness. Although conditioned souls are very proud of their so called love for society, family, and so forth, in reality, every conditioned soul is acting on the platform of gross and subtle selfishness. So, the first priority that comes for conditioned soul is me, I. Then comes extended uh, sense gratification in the form of relatives and so on. But the first thing is I, one's own self. Of course, they don't realize that the self is the soul, but they consider the body to be all in all. So they first see to the convenience of the body, of the self, then comes other things. Next verse, Dehatma Vadinam Purusham Api Rajan Yasattama Yatha Deha Priyatamas Tatha Nahi Anu ye na tam ye cha tam dehatma vadinam, who ascribe to the view that the body is a self, pumsam, for persons, api indeed, rajanya sattama, O best of kings, yatha, as they have the body, priyatama, most dear, tatha, thus, na, not, he certainly, anu, relative, ye, which things, cha and tam to that. Translation. Indeed, for persons who think the body is self, O best of kings, those things whose importance lies only in the relationship with the body are never as dear as the self itself. Indeed, for persons who think the body is the self, O best of kings, those things whose importance lies only in their relationship to the body are never as dear as the body itself. That means on for a person the body is most dear. Then comes other relations. देहोऽपि ममता भाक् चेत् तर्हि असुनात्मवत्प्रिया यज्जिर्यति अपि देहस्मिन् जीविताश्च ताश्च बलियसि. Deha, the body, appear also mamata of possessiveness, bhaktam. So the focus chet, if tarhi, then asu, that body, na, not atmavat. In the same way as the soul, priya, dear, yat, because jiryati, when it is growing old, api, even dehe, the body, asmin, this jivita asha, the desire to remain living, baliyashi, very strong. Translation. If a if a person comes to the stage of considering the body mine instead of me, he will, instead of considering the body mine instead of me, you can understand the difference, huh? He will certainly not consider the body as dear as his own self. After all, even as the body is growing old and useless, one's desire to continue living remains strong. You can understand this point. If a person comes to the stage of considering the body mine instead of me, the body is not me, it is, we say it is my hand, it is my leg, it is my eyes, my, there is some individual. It is not that hand, it's me, hand is me, no, we don't say it's mine. That means there is some individual and this body is separate from that self. When one comes to know that, uh, then one is actually coming in the right direction. Oh, but the word mamata bhag is very significant here. An ordinary foolish person thinks, I am this body. A more discriminating intelligent person thinks, this is my body. I am this body. Someone thinks I am this body. I means this body. And someone little intelligent will think that, okay, it is my body. I am something different from this body. In the literature and folklore of ordinary people, we find the common theme of an old, decrepit person dreaming of obtaining a new young body. Thus, even ordinary persons pick up the notion of self realization, instinctively understanding that it is possible for the soul to exist in many different bodies. As the body of an intelligent person becomes old and useless, he strongly desires to live even when he knows that his body cannot live much longer. This indicates he is gradually becoming aware that his self is more important than his body. Thus, simply the desire for life can indirectly bring one to a preliminary understanding of self realization. And in this case as well, one's basic attachment is to one's own self and not to that which supposedly belongs to oneself. It may be pointed out that the entire discussion between King Parikshit and Sukadev Goswami regarding the dearness of one's own self is ultimately meant for broaching the subject of which the cows and cowherd ladies of Vrindavan considered Krishna more dear than their own selves and certainly more dear than their own offspring. The discussion proceeds as follows. So we see that for a person who is growing old also, one may have a desire, one obviously not may, one has a desire to live longer. Nobody wants to become diseased or die. So everybody wants to live longer. That's why we don't want to look old. That's why there are advertisements of different cream and all these things, so that you don't your wrinkles and all are not seen. You don't grow old. I mean, you are growing old, of course, you're just trying to hide it. The desire to live longer shows that the self is actually eternal. So after giving this philosophy, Prabhupada is actually I mean, the disciples of Prabhupada are actually directing us to the point that, okay, we started the discussion because of the question asked by Parikshit Maharaj to Sukadev Goswami regarding the residents of Vrindavan, especially the cows, the cowherd, the gopis. Next verse, Tasmat Priyatama Swatma Sarvesham Api Dehinam Tadartham Eka Sakalam Jagad Eta Characharam Tasmat, therefore Priyatama, most dear, Swatma, one's own self, Sarvesham, for all, Api, indeed, Dehinam, embodied living beings, Tadartham, for the sake of it, Eva, certainly, Sakalam, all, Jagat, the created universe, Etad, this, Characharam, with its moving and non-moving entities. Translation, therefore it is his own self that is most dear to every embodied living being, and it is simply for the satisfaction of this self that the whole material creation of moving and non-moving entities exist. Purport. The word Characharam indicates moving living entities such as animals and non-living living entities such as trees. Or the word may also refer to moving possessions such as one's family and pets, and non-moving possessions such as one's house and household paraphernalia. 55th verse. Krishnam enam avehi tam atmanam akilatmanam jagadhitaya api sopi atra dehi vadbhati mayam. Krishnam, Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, enam, this avehi. Just try to understand, tam, you, atmanam, the soul, akila atmanam, of all living entity, Jagadhitaya, for the benefit of the whole universe, Sahi, Api, certainly, Atra, here, Dehi, a human being, Eva, like Abhati, appears Maya, by his internal potency. Translation, you should know Krishna to be the original soul of all living entities. For the benefit of the whole universe, he has, out of his causeless mercy, appeared as an ordinary human being. He has done this by the strength of his internal potency. Purport. So, we are coming to the actual point why the cowherd, the ladies in Vrindavan, they considered they had so much attachment for Krishna more than their own children. Purport. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela, chapter 20, text 162, Srila Prabhupada comments on this verse as follows. Parikshit Maharaj asked Sukadev Goswami why Krishna was so beloved by the residents of Vrindavan, who loved him even more than their own offspring or life itself. At that time, Sukadev Goswami replied that everyone's Atma or soul is very, very dear, especially to all living entities who have accepted material bodies. But that Atma, the spirit soul, is part and parcel of Krishna. For this reason, Krishna is very dear to every living entity. Everyone's body is very dear to oneself, and one wants to protect the body by all means because within the body the soul is living. Due to the intimate relationship between the soul and the body is important and dear to everyone. Similarly, the soul being part and parcel of Krishna, the Supreme Lord is very, very dear to all living entities. Unfortunately, the soul forgets his constitutional position and thinks he is only the body, Dehatma Buddhi. Thus, the soul is subjected to the rules and regulations of material nature. When a living entity, by his intelligence, reawakens his attraction for Krishna, he can understand that he is not the body but part and parcel of Krishna. Thus, filled with knowledge, he no longer labors under attachment to the body and everything related to the body. Janasya mohayam aham mameti. Material existence wherein one thinks, I am the body and this belongs to me, is also illusory. One must redirect his attraction to Krishna. Srimad Bhagavatam 1.2.7 states, Vasudeve Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojita Janayati Asuvairagyam Jnanam Chatad Ahaitukam Chayad Ahaitukam. By rendering devotional service unto the personality of Godhead Sri Krishna, one immediately acquires causeless knowledge and detachment from the world. So, this is very important that Right now, we are identifying ourselves with the body because why? There's a strong connection between the body and the soul. The soul is the most dear, but because the soul is residing in this body, so the body becomes very dear to us. Similarly, because the soul is actually part and parcel of Krishna, so the soul is just like the soul is dear. Similarly, Supreme Lord is also most dear because the soul is part and parcel of Krishna. But unfortunately, we have forgotten our connection with the Supreme Lord, and we are just caught up in our connection between the body and the soul. Hmm? In fact, people are not even aware of the soul, they're just considering body to be all in all. So, when a living entity by his intelligence reawakens his attraction for Krishna, if somehow or other we can reawaken our attraction for Krishna, we can understand that he is not this body but actually part and parcel of Krishna. Next verse. वस्तुतो जनाताम् अत्र कृष्णं स्थास्नु चरिष्णु च भगवत् रूपम् अखिलं नान्यद् वस्तु इह किञ्चन vastuta. In fact, janatam. For those who understand atra in this world, Krishnam, Lord Krishna, sthashnu, stationary, charishnu, moving, cha, and Bhagavat Rupam, the manifest forms of the personality of God, and akhilam, everything, na, nothing, anyat, even, else. Vastu, substance, iha, here, kinchana, at all. Translation. Those in this world who understand Lord Krishna as he is, see all things, whether stationary or moving, as manifest forms of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Such enlightened persons recognize no reality apart from the Supreme Lord Krishna. Purport. Everything exists within Lord Krishna, and Lord Krishna exists within everything. Still, the order of progression is always from the energetic to the expanded energy. Lord Krishna is the original identity from whom all other identities emanate. He is the supreme energetic from whom all categories and dimensions of energy become manifest. Thus, our personal bodies, self, family, friends, nation, planet, universe, and so on are all manifestations of the Supreme Lord who expand himself through his personal potencies. Lord Krishna is certainly the supreme object of our love and attraction, and other objects such as body, family, and home should be secondary objects of our affection. Moreover, a close analytic study of the actual situation will reveal that even the secondary objects of love are also manifestations of Lord Krishna. The conclusion is that Lord Krishna is our only friend and object of love. In his Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Srila Prabhupada comments on this verse as follows. Without being an expansion of Krishna, nothing can be attractive. Whatever is attractive within the cosmic manifestation is due to Krishna. Krishna is therefore the reservoir of all pleasure. The active principle of everything is Krishna, and highly elevated transcendentalists see everything in connection with him. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, it is stated that a Mahabhagavata, highly advanced devotee, sees Krishna as the active principle in all movable and immovable living entities. Therefore, he sees everything within this cosmic manifestation in relation to Krishna. So, this is how it is that the great personalities, pure devotees, they see everything in relation to Krishna. There is nothing beyond Krishna. Whatever is existing, we see around, what we call as material is also actually belonging, because it's coming from Krishna. It's emanation of the Lord. So everything is his energy. Material energy is also his energy. So everything is actually coming from Krishna. It's a manifestation of Krishna's energy. So that's how we understand this. So we'll stop here today and we'll continue tomorrow from 57th verse onwards. Thank you so much for joining. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Granth Raj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Hare Krishna.